Your data isn't AI ready and no model will fix that. Not a bigger model, not a better vendor, not one more pilot. When a funded AI use case stalls, the constraint is almost never the model. It is the layer of data underneath it, and it has been there the whole time, quietly deciding whether anything you build can pay back. The evidence is now primary sourced, and it is blunt. Rand found that more than 80% of AI projects fail close to twice the rate of non-AI technology projects. And MIT's NANDA initiative found, separately, that 95% of enterprise generative AI pilots deliver no measurable return. Two studies, two different measures, and both trace the failure to the same place: data, integration, and organization, not model quality. That is the finding. Leaders keep missing the model is the last thing to fail. And the first thing they blame. So the budget flows to the one layer that was never broken, while the real fault compounds. At the same time, the bar itself moved higher. Predictive AI needed clean history. Generative AI needs curated text. But an agent that acts needs real-time, governed access to live systems. It is only as trustworthy as its access to the truth in the moment it acts. And in Vietnam, the AI law that applies from 2026 turns data governance from an internal metric into a dated legal obligation, with a grace window for finance that is already running. So here is the pain, and it runs in two directions. Most banks deploy the model before they read the map underneath it. They stand up the pilot on a foundation where no one can name the authoritative record, where two divisions define an active customer differently, and where consent status cannot be proven on demand. A model does not repair any of that, it inherits the gaps, hides them behind fluent answers, and amplifies them at scale: confident hallucinations on weak master data, false positives in anti-money laundering, and wrong credit denials that reach customers. The model looks like the problem. The foundation underneath it was the problem all along. Then, having learned that lesson, leaders overcorrect into the opposite trap. They declare that the bank must cleanse the entire data estate before it deploys anything, a multi-year overhaul. And that program becomes the perfect reason to delay. Executive fatigue sets in, the roadmap slips, and the initiative quietly dies, waiting for a foundation that was never going to be finished. Because data debt never stops accruing in a real institution. One camp says buy a better model. The other says fix all the data first. Both are wrong, and the same body of evidence kills both arguments at once. The bank that scatters pilots on a broken foundation, and the bank that freezes every use case behind a total remediation fail for opposite reasons, and land in the same place: no value in production. Most banks fail not because they picked the wrong model, but because they never decided which layer was actually binding. They funded motion and called it progress. So here is the refrain. Data readiness is necessary, but it is not sufficient. Necessary because no model repairs a foundation that was never AI ready. Not sufficient because perfect data alone guarantees nothing. Readiness sits alongside three co-equal constraints: the economics of the use case, the process redesigned around it, and human oversight not above them. Get the data perfect and skip those three, and you will still ship nothing that pays back. Readiness is one seat at the table, not the head of it. Now picture the stack correctly. Raw data becomes transport. Transport becomes shared meaning. Meaning is bounded by governance. And only then is data fit for a model to consume. The model does not sit at the base. It sits at the very top, resting on 5 layers beneath it, and it can only ever be as good as the layer that is weakest for its specific job. Which changes what you do on Monday. You do not build the whole estate, you read it when a use case stalls. Leaders should read the 5 layers before funding a bigger model. Score them. Find the 1 or 2 that bind and remediate only those, in the order the use case actually needs, and no further. That map has a name: AI-ready business architecture, the 5-layer data readiness map. Each layer answers one question. Together, they are the Readiness Read. Layer 1 is foundation: the data estate, master records, and lineage. It asks, is it true? Ready looks like this: Every critical element has a known source, and its quality is tied to a financial number. Foundation binds every use case always. Skip it and every layer above inherits the lie. Layer 2 is access integration, streaming, and the pipelines and latency that carry data. It asks, can we get it in time? This binds hardest on fraud, anti-money laundering, and any agent acting in real time, where a day-old answer is worse than no answer at all. Latency is not a tuning detail here, it is the use case. Layer 3 is meaning the glossary, metadata, and shared definitions. It asks, does everyone agree what it means? Without it, two models define the same customer differently and return contradictory decisions. That no one can reconcile the model is not wrong. The definitions were, Layer 4 is governance, consent, rights to use, auditability, and explainability. It asks, are we allowed to use it? Security is not a separate layer. It runs as a seam through all 5 and is stewarded here. In a regulated market, this is where an audit either passes or does not. Layer 5 is activation feature stores, vector stores, retrieval, and governed tool access for agents. It asks, can a model consume this safely? This is the rising bar for agentic AI, where the model no longer just answers, it acts, and a wrong action costs far more than a wrong answer. 5 layers, 5 questions, that is the readiness read. Now the discipline that keeps this from becoming a multi-year overhaul, run it dual track. Set enterprise minimum standards once, and engineer the rest as a reusable data product that accretes back to the foundation. So every funded use case leaves the estate readier than it found it. And close with the human layer ownership, accountability. And a kill switch the layer that holds the 5 up. Because a map with no owner is only a diagram. Name the owner or the map decays the week after the workshop.
No voice after more production.
So does the discipline pay? Look closely at both sides of it. On the upside, DBS. The bank industrialized its activation and governance layers together. And in its 2025 financial year, reported about 1 billion Singapore dollars of economic value from artificial intelligence, the top of a compounding curve across more than 2,000 models and over 430 use cases. That did not come from a single clever model. It came from a foundation clean enough and an activation layer governed enough to let hundreds of use cases compound on the same estate. And governance did not slow it down, it accelerated it. Once an AI risk model screened every technology change request. Monthly incidents caused by those changes fell by 81%. And time to market dropped from about 15 months to under 3. Read that again, the control layer made the bank faster, not slower. That is the compounding you earn when the layers are ready before the model arrives. No heroics and no moonshot model. Just layers that were true. Timely and governed before anyone pressed run. That is dull and it is the point. Now the downside, and it is just as instructive. Citigroup absorbed a $400 million penalty. And a further $136 million. Tied directly to data quality and reporting failures. That is a foundation and governance failure. And no model would have fixed it. You cannot model your way out of not knowing which number is true. Then the boundary case, the Apple Card cleared of legal bias, its data ample and its model sound. It still failed because its decisions could not be explained, a pure governance failure, with none of the data problems of the first. One bank had bad data, the other had good data it could not defend. Both stalled at the same wall, and in both the model was never the variable that decided the outcome. Read the 3 together and the whole thesis holds. DBS shows ready layers compounding value. Citigroup shows a broken foundation no model can rescue. Apple Card shows that perfect data, ungoverned, still fails. Necessary but not sufficient, that is the whole map in 4 words. So before you fund the next model, read the map, score the 5 layers, find the one that binds. Remediate that and run it dual track. We have turned this into a tool, a 5-layer data readiness map you can score in an afternoon, written up in this week's article. With a 1-page playbook for your next strategy session. When a funded use case stalls, leaders should reach for the map before they reach for the budget. Score first, spend second, because the map is free and the wasted quarter is not. And every week, we send one architecture-grade idea like this in the AI Architect letter. Read the map before you fund the models. I am the AI Business Architect. Design the future, defend the enterprise, subscribe now.